So I need to tell you guys a secret. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace, and I'm going to take you on a little vlog of my recent family trip to Prince Edward Island. Now, before I do, I of course want to share a disclaimer that I will be talking about disordered eating, so feel free to skip this if it's not supportive to your journey. And I also want to flag that I acknowledge my immense privilege in being able to take a holiday and that I have a flexible enough work situation to do just that. And of course, a reminder if you're new here to subscribe to this channel and ring that bell so that you never miss out. Also, a quick note about my sponsor Squarespace, which I know that you've heard me talk about a lot before. I'm really just such a huge fan of how easy they make this whole entrepreneurial life. So in addition to everything that I do here on YouTube, I also coach a lot of dietitians who want to learn about how to blog and make videos and social media posts, and so many of them struggle with this whole website thing. I get it. It can feel like such a huge beast if you're really not that tech savvy. And I'm not. But Squarespace is a super intuitive all-in-one platform that makes it so easy for anyone to set up a website, blog, or online store regardless of your niche. Now, one of the features that I really like is their donation feature. So you can encourage people to support a cause of your choice on your site by easily gathering payments online. You can also set up members-only content and can communicate easily with your members through their email list programs. Honestly, it's just so nice when the technology just works, because I feel like I otherwise struggle way too much with this. So if you're interested in getting started, you can check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/AbbySharp to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. So I need to tell you guys a secret. I'm not doing well. I'm not sure if it's like the impending doom of another wave of COVID or the hormonal roller coaster of pregnancy and breastfeeding and weaning, or maybe it's just like the fact that I'm trying to come to terms with the idea that I might want to start medicating for my anxiety and insomnia, but like I'm fully burning out. I'm just finding like I'm having a hard time finding joy or things to look forward to, and my sleep gets better only to get way worse. And I'm also finding that I'm like falling into some of my mild OCD like coping mechanisms anytime that I'm feeling stressed. And all of this to me feels like a really big red flag, but thankfully, like just based on my experience, I know how to catch these things before they get out of control. So I feel like I know myself really well, and I know when even like a little whisper of an intrusive disordered eating thought starts to kind of like creep into my head, that there's generally a bigger issue that I need to address. Like it's never about the food. But I guess that leads me to need to tell you the honest truth that for a lot of us, eating disorders don't necessarily just go away. For me, I know that controlling my food was a coping mechanism that I relied on for so many years to help me manage my anxiety. And of course, now looking back, I know that that was like a band-aid, and a really one at that. And these days, you know, I've largely made peace with food, which I'm very proud of course, but I sometimes rely on other problematic coping strategies, particularly around my sleep, and, you know, that's something that I still have to work on. In the meantime, I do think I'm pretty quick to identify and call out when any like little disordered eating ninja tries to sneak into my brain and try to like convince me that skipping breakfast will make the discomfort of my anxiety go away. The reality is I have to fight these types of battles every day. And usually I win. You know, like at 33 years old, I think I have a really healthy relationship with food.
I'm not even sorry.
But when I'm really in the trenches with work and I'm not sleeping and I'm not particularly motivated by life, or like I'm just feeling worn down, just trying to fight my own demons, I just feel like I need to escape. I need to get out. And that was why we planned an impromptu trip to Prince Edward Island. Let me take you with me on our little family trip, and I'm gonna add some little food freedom learnings in there along the way. So cancel my calls, reschedule my appointments. I need off the grid and out of the grind. It's time for a little bit of a reset.
Love that journey for me.
This is the most idyllic place on earth, Prince Edward Island. Now, before kids, this would have been like Snoresville to me. I would probably have zero interest in a place with no designer shopping, no five-star restaurants, no excitement. But now, when I so badly just need to get off the hamster wheel and reset, it is literally my heaven on earth. Yes, the internet is too slow to watch a full YouTube video, and any incoming calls go to voicemail because the reception sucks so much. And I'm not even sure there's like a Starbucks on the whole island, never mind close by. But here in this little simple cottage by the water, I feel safe. I can move at like a slower, simpler pace where decision fatigue doesn't paralyze me every single day. So this family vacation was like the mini pause button that I needed so badly to help me gain better perspective on what actually matters in my life. And because my mental health was being taken care of here, it was way easier for me to treat my body well and feel great physically too. So how did I get here? Well, here are some of my tips to use my holiday reset strategy, whether you're out of the office or you're still in the grind.
Cheers. It's a good one.
Tip 1, let go of routine. I am a type A perfectionist, so you know your girl loves a good routine. But if the routine isn't serving you, we gotta nip that in the bud. What I mean is that if you're struggling with disordered eating or exercise thoughts that are typically pacified by a specific routine or set of rules that make you feel safe, it's really time to challenge this and switch it up. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. So a holiday, when you're actually physically taken out of your routine and any kind of triggers for your routine, is an obvious way to do this. But I totally acknowledge that we can't just all take a holiday whenever we want. Sometimes it can be as simple as changing or switching up just one little habit a day that kind of sets you off on destructive behaviors for the rest of the day. For example, if you habitually intermittent fast until noon as some kind of rule, even though maybe it doesn't feel good to you, maybe try to have breakfast a few days a week just to start. Or if you always have to have green juice or lemon water first thing in the morning, see what happens when you don't. Challenging some of these habits might help you see that nothing terrible happens if you don't do them every day. My time in PEI was just reorienting in so many ways. And that forced reorientation really helped me surrender control so that I could remind myself about the things that actually bring me joy. So tip number 2 is to enjoy the experience and make memories through food. No one ever looked back at their holiday 5 years down the road and thought, oh, I wish I didn't eat that buttery lobster roll. But I think if I spent the entire week obsessing over the fact that most of these little mom and pop chip shops don't have side salads, I would have felt a true longing and regret. I would have been missing out on real life and family memories if I brought my kid an ice cream cone and sat in the car wishing that I had my own. This is particularly important to me as a parent since I want my boys to have pleasurable relationships with food. So one rainy day, for example, I even decided it would be nice for us to bake some cookies together. And I really hope that when E grows up, he remembers these days as fondly as I know that I remember baking with my mom and my grandmother. Now, the one and only thing that I planned for this trip, other than like renting the car and the cottage, was that I made a reservation at Chef Michael Smith's in Abbey for their big fireworks feast. So this was like our one night out without the kids, and I kind of see it as like the ultimate PEI foodie experience that I really didn't want to miss if I had the choice. And of course, it did not disappoint.
We are in the car headed to our first and only childless evening tonight. We're going to the Inn at Bay Fortune, which is a lovely restaurant and inn run by Chef Michael Smith. And if you're Canadian, I actually don't know if American Food Network has Chef Michael Smith's shows, but he is one of the OG Food Network celebrities here in Canada. And I've met him several times. I've worked with him on a few projects. He's lovely. So we're really looking forward to tonight. And we've actually been to the inn before for dinner, and it was a really fun experience. So this is kind of one of those really quintessential foodie experiences. If you can come out to the PEI definitely try to get a reservation at their fire feast. You'll see lots of clips from some of the food we get to enjoy later on. But it is teeming rain outside. I don't know if you can see, but we're getting the tail end of a hurricane. And I blow dried my hair, not sure why, because you know what's gonna happen by the end of this evening. But, you know, after a few cocktails, a few glasses of wine, not sure I'm gonna care. Yeah, all right, let's get to it.
Tip number 3 is to enjoy the experience and make memories not about food. Food is integral to the social and familial fabric of our lives, but it doesn't have to be everything. I have to say that when I was really struggling with my relationship with food, I used to plan pretty much all of our trips and everything we did around meals. Nothing else mattered in our day beyond where we were eating and what we were eating. And I basically just kind of justified this behavior because I called myself a foodie. Now, I still do think that I'm a foodie. Food is still a huge, huge part of my life and I love to eat. But it's not everything and it's not the only tool in my toolbox. And true food freedom to me was getting to a place where like a meal schedule or a reservation didn't run my life. We could take a day trip into town and have no clue where, what, or when we would eat, but that we would just like figure it out whenever we got hungry. So once we stumbled upon a really cute family orchard on the way home from a day trip, and we picked up like the most unplanned yet delicious snack of life. And we made so many fun memories doing it. Another time we found this really cute petting zoo where we fed alpacas and other little miniature animals, not ourselves. And then of course there were most days where the weather was just so beautiful. We would lose track of time just running around the beach and building sandcastles until somebody started to get a little cranky because it had been a few hours since we last had a meal. A decade ago, I wouldn't have been able to just not have a plan for every single meal on a trip.
Take a look at this.
And having this flexibility was just so freeing. That brings me to tip number 4. Ask yourself every day, what do I actually want to eat if nothing is off limit? Back in my disordered eating days, I would pack so many forbidden foods into my holiday meals because I knew I'd have to soon come home and then be back on my diet. The result would be that I would end up eating a lot of super heavy, rich foods morning, noon, and night every single day, even if I wasn't even in the mood for them. I'd feel totally tapped out, but I felt like I had to. I had no choice. I would basically just be going through the motions of a binge just because I knew that I had to get the bad foods in while I could. But here in PEI, we would often get some kind of fried fish or like a lobster roll for lunch, and it would always come with fries. But after having like a piece of battered fish or really buttery lobster roll, I often wouldn't even want more than a few fries. Now, I know that this takes a lot of practice, but I've realized that a handful of fries a few times a week tastes so much better than a mountain of fries once a week. Ditto for dessert, alcohol, and even stereotypically quote unquote healthy foods as well. Moderation and variety will always yield the most physically and emotionally satisfying experience. Moving on to tip 5, when you make a food choice, ask yourself, how does this food make me feel? So my approach to food on a holiday today is so different than it was 10 years ago. When I was really struggling with food, I would restrict really heavily leading up to kind of a holiday so that I could binge on all of these heavy over-the-top meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week, only to get home and feel really unwell physically and also riddled with guilt emotionally, which of course would just then start the cycle all over again. And it wouldn't be hard for me to let my anxiety push me back into that same cycle again. Sure, I probably ate more fried foods than I normally do, but I actually felt really great physically because I never felt the need to overeat. If I ate fish and chips for lunch, I would naturally choose some kind of steamed seafood with like a salad and some corn for dinner at home. It was never an intentional, oh, I had a cheat meal, now I need to eat super clean. It was truly just an intuitive way to eat and fuel my body. Ditto after my one big meal at the inn.
So last night was so much fun. First of all, just nice to talk to other human beings, which we haven't gotten a lot of exposure to in Ontario. And also just like an amazing experience. They did a farm tour and the farm was amazing. Then like a little oyster hour, and they have tacos and cocktails, and we had so much fun. And honestly, I was talking to my husband afterwards. I was like, that was so awesome and so much food. Like we had all the kind of hors d'oeuvres and then the sit down multi-course meal. And I was thinking and talking to him, and I was like, do you remember the time when we were like 10 years younger and we used to do like back-to-back tasting menus with wine pairings when we traveled? Now I'm like, just give me like, I just want a fruit salad for breakfast after that, because I still felt quite satisfied when I woke up. But the beautiful thing about food freedom is that I was able to listen to my body and not like force myself through finishing a course when I just like wasn't for it. Though I will say I did eat the entire dessert course because hey, we got a second stomach for dessert, right? But by the time that the main came around, I maybe ate like maybe a third of it. As delicious as it was, I just couldn't put it back, and I lost my appetite, and I was able to just kind of say, I'll take this home for the kids. And that's exactly what we did. But anyways, it was a fantastic experience. If you're ever in PEI, that is absolutely something that you want to book ahead on. They book way in advance. So definitely take the time to look that up in at Bay Fortune with Chef Michael Smith and try to get in their books. Oh, I'm sad that this holiday is ending. But alas, all good things have to come to an end, and I need to get back to work. So 'tis life.
Now, obviously, this takes practice and time to really be able to trust ourselves not to overeat, especially if you're used to restricting all of your adult life. But remind yourself tomorrow is another delicious day. There's no need to eat to the point of discomfort when your body trusts itself that there's something delicious to be had again really soon. And finally, tip number 6, embrace the enough. I think this has been the hardest thing for me to learn because, you know, relaxing or being enough or doing the bare minimum doesn't come easy to me. I'm a type A perfectionist people pleaser. So there's always something that I feel that I need to do. Now, at times in my life, this has bled into my relationship with food, exercise, and my body, and I'm always going to have to work to challenge this desire to do more. But your body and mind need rest. My body and my mind needs rest, and nothing bad is going to happen if we take it. So what? I might not eat as many vegetables and my workouts might not be as intense while I'm on vacation. But the point is that I'm going to do what feels good to me and what is easily accessible to me, because that's probably a lot much healthier thing to do than to obsess over getting my heart rate up or getting in a certain number of steps on my holiday. For me, I know that starting my day with a little bit of movement makes me feel good, no matter where I am. Now at home, I have a pretty extensive at-home gym set up with like a treadmill and free weights and a functional cables machine. Here, I had a floor with a beach towel, and it probably was like 45 minutes away to the nearest public gym, so that was not even an option. So I brought a few easy, lightweight pieces of equipment just for general stretching and some basic exercises to help with my diastasis recti and to just like give me that me time in the day without letting it get in the way of other fun things that we had planned.
I try to move my body in ways that feels good, and it does feel good for me to try to move my body every day. So if I can fit it in, great. If I can't, it's not the end of the world.
Things like walking on the beach and chasing after my kids was really the main activity that I did most days. And I didn't freak out and only eat salad on the rainy days that we spent mainly indoors or in the car. And you know what? Nothing bad happened. I didn't come home completely deconditioned because of it. I actually felt better in tune with my body and what felt good to it because, again, there was no expectation. There was no routine, no noise, just an open space for me to tune in and listen to my desire to maybe like go for an early sunrise walk or have the energy to fully invest in family time. It was bliss. Now, listen, I know that we can't all just take a vacation anytime we have a stressful week at work. This is actually my first actual vacation that I've taken since before I had kids. Like, I didn't even take a mat leave with either kid. Not that anything about a mat leave is like a relaxing holiday, trust me. But anyways, I'm just saying I've never really taken the time to slow down. And while I'm often around with my kids, I usually feel a lot of guilt that I'm just not present nearly enough. And as a result, my mental health definitely suffers. I don't know, maybe you guys can relate. So if you're finding your day-to-day grind is causing stress that triggers your urge to control, maybe some of these little tips can actually help. I know that I'm gonna be using them a lot myself as I try to manage my own mental health struggles as we enter another uncertain, unfortunate season of COVID life. But on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. So thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below if you want to see more vloggy stuff. If you have any fun topics you want me to cover, things you want me to talk about, let me know. And of course, I'll see you again next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye.